Hello everyone. Today our topic is how to handle date format or timestamp format while reading CSV file. So when reading CSV files in PySpark, date columns are usually read as by default as string unless you explicitly define or convert them. So you can handle these date formats using by these many functions. So one is while reading CSV file by passing infer schema equal to true. That is one method. And second one is by defining schema definition, or you can say explicit schema. Third one is you can use to underscore date function to convert string date column to date format. And if you have timestamp values, then you can use to underscore timestamp function to convert string timestamp to timestamp data type. And next one is date format and timestamp format. So I already made videos on these topics already by using these functions, how to read CSV files. So this particular video is purely dedicated on these two options. So one is a date format and timestamp format. And we'll see what is the common date formats. So whenever you get your input file, so generally these are all the different formats, date formats you will get in your input files. So first format is, this is the default format. So that is year, month, date. And you can see here year, month, date. And second one is date, month, year. So the delimiter is backslash year. And third one is month, date, year. So month colon date colon year. Next one is year. So this is the default format, right? So same thing. So here delimiter as backslash. So these are the different date formats we'll receive through input files. So now we want to convert apart from this, since this is a default format, so Spark automatically converts this format. And whatever we have these formats, so this will call as custom date format. So these things we are going to discuss now, how to convert these formats. So first we'll understand what is date format and timestamp format. So in date format, default format is this one, year, month, date. So what it does, the date format is, it sets the string that indicates the date format. So that means string date, and custom date formats follow the formats at datetime patterns. So here custom date formats means, so first one is string date, and second one is custom date formats. So custom date formats is, if you see above table, so in this is the default. This is the default format. And these three will call as this one, custom date formats. Or you can say custom date patterns, date type patterns. So this applies to date type. So whatever date format function, it is only applied to date data type. And where we can use it, so while reading CSV file and while writing CSV file. And next, timestamp format. So the default format is year, month, date. So first is a date, then T, next date. So sorry, time. So time is hour, minute, second, and milliseconds, and time zone. So this sets the string that indicates timestamp format. So if you see here, this is string timestamp. And next is custom date formats. So it follow datetime patterns and it applies to timestamp type. And this also we can use while reading the CSV file and while writing the CSV file. So next we'll see the high level code, how to use these two functions, date format and timestamp format. So first thing is we need to define the schema by explicitly. So here in this example, I have two columns, that is ID and birth date. So these two I'm defining here, like by using struct type and by using struct field. So column name is ID and data type is integer type. And second struct field is the column name is birth date and data type is date type. So these are struct type and struct field, integer and date type. I'm importing here from PySpark.sql.types. So now I define my explicit schema. Now, while reading the CSV file by using spark.read and in options, since this is CSV file, I'm passing option header as true. And here I'm passing the schema. So whatever I defined explicit schema, that I'm passing here. So up to here it is common. So this is our regular syntax. And at the end, dot CSV, and it will mention the CSV file path. And here, what additionally we are giving is dot option. So here function is date format. So in this F is capital letter, so that is date format. And we are passing the date pattern here. So in which pattern? So the date values are required as output. So I required as year, month, date. So this is how we can read the CSV file by passing date format. And after reading that, how to write this result. So this is the data frame df. So df dot write and dot option header as true and dot option date format as year, month, date and cs.csv. And here I'm providing my target path. So this is about high-level code, how to read and write CSV file by using date format. Next, what are the critical rules for pattern strings? Suppose if you need to change this pattern to match other custom formats. So suppose if I want like this date, month, year, so keep these rules in mind. So one is case sensitivity matters. So that means whenever you define this one like year, month, date. So this year, that means these four Ys, that means four Ys, four digit number that represents year. This always should be lowercase and do not use uppercase four Ys. So if you refer four Ys, then what will happen? It refers to the week-based calendar year. So next 2M. So this two-digit month, it should be always uppercase. If suppose if you by mistake if you mention lowercase 2M's, then it stands for minutes. And last one is two small days. That is a two-digit day of the month. And this always should be in lowercase. So finally, your year should be in lowercase and month should be in uppercase and the date should be in lowercase. Next, timestamp requires a different option. So the date format option only handles dates, date, data types. If your column contains hour, minutes, or seconds, then you must use dot option. instead of date format, you should use timestamp format, and you have to mention the pattern, timestamp pattern you have to mention. So that is 4 wise, AM, month, date, and later hour, minute, second. So this is the thumb rules for defining the pattern, and this is the option we need to use in case of timestamp. So now we'll jump on to examples. So first one is using date format. So first we'll see how to use this date format function. So here, first what I'm trying to do is, I'm trying to read CSV file with the default option, default format, that is year, month, date. So here, what I'll do, parallel I will show uh, my CSV files also, how it looks, then it will be easy to understand. So in this date format, I have different files. So depends on example, we'll see one by one. So first my scenario, I'm going to touch on default format. That means your input CSV file, it's already coming with default date format. So that is 4 wise, 2M, and 2D. So this is the default format. Spark automatically detects these values as string date values as date data type. So whenever you have this default date format, so no need to pass either infer schema or explicitly defining the data types, or using these date formats are not required. So Spark itself enough to detect these values as data type. So here what I'm doing, so I'm trying to read CSV file spark.read and dot option header as true and dot CSV, and here I'm passing my CSV file path. So here try CSV date format default format. So if I open this one, this file, so this is the CSV file we are going to see now. So here we have these columns: order ID, order date, delivery date, and expiration date. Suppose if you see second column, that is order date. So this is the value. And if you see the format, it is in default format. So that is year, month, date. And you see all the values in following same default format. And at the same time, if you see delivery date, that is this column, these values, and these values also already it is in default format. So year, month, date. See here, all are it is in this particular format. And last one is expiration date. So this also it is in default format. If you see here, year, month, date. So all are it is in default format. So that is the reason I mentioned here the file name as default format. So default format, the default format is this one. So year, month, date. So here what I did, so here I'm not mentioned any of the options. Only I mentioned header as true and CSV path. So if I read like this, what will happen? So here I try to display and I try to print schema also. And if you observe here, if you don't mention any of the options here, so by default, Spark, it will read all the data, that means all the columns as string data type. If you see here, all are string data type. So even though this is date values, these are all default date values, but it reading as string data type. See here, you can see here also string. All are reading as string data type. So next one, what I'm doing for this default format, I'm adding my first option as infer schema. So initially I mentioned, right, different methods to define the date format. So just here I just want to show how the values will change if I pass infer schema as true. So for my previous code, what I did is I just added this line of code. So that is the dot option infer schema as true. So once I add this one, so what will happen? So if I try to read this one, so now infer schema equal to true means Spark will automatically detect the data types. So earlier case, without defining infer schema true, by default it detecting as all columns as string data type. Actually, this is integer, but still it reading as string. So these are all the dates values, but still it reading as string data type. But once I mention infer schema as true, Spark, what it will do, it will go each and every column. Suppose it will go this particular column and it will scan all the records. So based on this scan, it will detect the data type. So now it detecting as integer type. And if you see all these columns, all these date columns, it detecting as date type. So here, first one is integer and remaining three are date data type. So how it detecting? So here also same thing. It going to this particular column and it scanning all this data and it telling that it is date data type. But how it detecting Spark by default is since our date values are in default format. So since this is year, month, date, since it is in default format, it is detecting as date type, date, data type. Okay. So this is about infer schema as true for default format. So that is a default date format. So next what I'm doing, default date format, what I'm doing instead of infer schema true, I'm defining explicit schema. So if you compare infer schema equal to true and explicit schema, so the recommended method in production is defining the explicit schema. Why? Because if you use infer schema as true, so sometimes there is possibility of detecting wrong data type. Why? Because it will scan the data. So based on this scan, it will detect the data type. But sometimes if you have mixed values, then it will detect as suppose this column I have, all this I have integer values. Suppose by any chance, if I by mistake, if I have any string value in this, then it will detect as string type. But sometimes what will happen, this one instead of detecting as integer type, sometimes it will detect as long data type. Okay, so there are possibility of detecting as wrong data type. To avoid that, in production, always recommended to define explicitly the schema. So if you look by looking this our input file, that means the data. So here struct type. So I'm defining struct type, and inside that I'm defining four struct fields. Why? Because I have four columns in this CSV file. So first one order underscore ID is integer type and remaining these three columns are date type. So and this schema I'm passing here. So here what I'm doing instead of infer schema as true, I'm passing schema. So this explicit schema I'm passing here. And if I try to run this one, so you'll get same data types as earlier as infer schema true. So integer date, and you can see here also date. So why we are getting correctly here is because we have default date format. So that is year, month, date. So next one is default date format and with date format option. So here first we tried with infer schema as true. Then I tried with defining schema, explicit schema. Now I'm trying with this date format function. And in which pattern I required is this default format. So here month, date. So here also we'll get same result. So uh, here what will happen? So here header as true, option, date format, year, month, date. But here it is reading as all as string data type. See, even though you mentioned date format, even though you mentioned date format, but still it reading as all columns as string data type. So this is equivalent to, oh, if you see first option, no, when we discuss first option, so there we defined only option header equal to true, CSV file path. So there also we got all columns as string. And here also we are getting all columns as string. So why we are getting, even though we are defined this one, but still we are getting string type. Why we are getting this one is, so we need to define the explicitly schema. So when Spark reads a CSV, it treats all columns as string type by default, unless either you need to define info schema as true, unless you need to define info schema as true, or you have to provide a explicit schema. So that is our previous two options. So one is like this, explicitly defining the schema, or info schema equal to true. So next, date format does not automatically convert a CSV column into data type, date type. So what a date format specifies is the pattern used to parse the dates. So this date format, it is, we are just specifying the format. So in which format it has to read. So that's all. So that is the reason we are getting here all as string data types. Next, it does not change a string type column to date type column. Okay. Next, if you use info schema equal to true or an explicit data type schema to get date columns instead of strings. So that means even though you are using date format, this one, so additionally, what you have to do is either you have to use info schema as true, or we have to define the schema explicitly. So this thing we need to remember that. Next, since they mentioned these two options, so here what I'm trying is, along with the date format, here along with date format, I'm using info schema as true. So as first option, along with the data frame, I'm using info schema as true. So here I mentioned option info schema as true, and next I mentioned option date format. So now it will read correctly. See here, it is integer and date. So now we saw the different methods. So how to read these data frames. So now you'll get a question like, we have already these two options, info schema equal to true and explicitly define the schema. Why we required this one? So for that, further we'll see the answer. So next one is second option, date format with explicitly defining the schema. So here I'm adding this schema, and option is date format and this pattern. And if you see here, so this my in this here what I'm doing only ID and date call. So here I'm reading different data frame. So this is year, month, date, uh, year, month, date, default format. Okay, same CSV I'm reading, but only difference is, so here what I'm doing, instead of defining all the columns, what I'm defining here is I'm defining only two columns. So whatever I define the column names here in the schema, so only those columns it will come here. Suppose here in this default format, what is our column name actually? Order ID, order date. But what I given here is ID and date column. So whatever you give in schema, so only those column names it will read. So it is not like what CSV has. And if you see the values, those values it will print as it is. 2024, 6/15. Okay, so values you will get as per CSV, but the columns you will get how you defined here. Suppose same thing, if you want to read as it is like CSV, like earlier, what you can do here is this same code. What I will do, I will change the scheme. So this schema I will change to as a default I mentioned earlier. So this schema I'll take. So if I define this schema, what will happen? It will read properly. So this schema matches as per our CSV file. So this schema, it is passed here. And if you see this one, so now I will get all the columns. See, now I will get all the columns with proper data types. Okay, so next, now we'll see how to read CSV file with custom date format. So custom date format means initially we mentioned, so this is the default format, and whatever we have these three formats, this kind of formats, this will call as custom format. So now we'll see, so CSV file with custom date format. So here what I'm doing, I'm reading with default options. So default options means spark.read, and here I'm mentioning only header as true, and directly I'm mentioning the CSV path. If you see this one custom format, first we'll see the CSV file, how it looks custom format. See here order ID, order date, column names are same. And if you see the formats, now it is not a default format. So first date is there, month, year. So date, month, year, and again date, month, year. So we have in this default, custom format. So now if I read this CSV file, since we have not mentioned any uh, any options, so how it will read is by default, it reads all columns as string data types. All as string data types, but these formats, see it reading as it is as CSV, like custom format. Now, suppose if you want like a proper date format, then we'll see further options. So first option is custom format by using infer schema equal to true. From previous option, what I'm doing, I'm adding one additional function. Option infer schema as true. So if I add this infer schema as true, what it will do, it will detect the proper data types. And Okay, so it is detecting proper data types. And if you see here, even though you have it is in custom format like date, month, year, date, month, year. So by after reading as infer schema true, it converting to default format. So year, month, date. Okay, so next the same thing here. What I'm doing, the same custom format CSV file by using explicit schema. So here we used infer schema as true. Here we are using explicit schema. Okay, so this is second one. So here what I'm doing, first I'm defining the schema. That schema I'm passing here. Then that one I'm reading here. So now what will happen? See here, since you mentioned column names, since you mentioned date type, it will come here date type. You will get date data types, but you will get null values. Why? Because if you see in custom format, so this is not a default format. So this is custom format. So whenever you have custom format, if you mention infer schema true, Spark will automatically detect converts this one. But if you explicitly define this one, so what will happen? So this date type, it won't convert properly. So you will get all nulls. Suppose if this file, suppose if this file, if you have default formats like year, month, date, then these values will get like in our earlier case. But since we have this custom format, even though you explicitly define the schema, it will read as null values. So now, next what I'll do, for this case, what I'll do, next I'm adding this option. So option date format, this one. So earlier also we defined schema and that schema we are passing here. And additionally, what I'm doing, I'm passing this option date format. Since so while explicitly defining the schema, since Spark not detecting the right format, so I'm defining this one date format. And so I'm telling Spark, so my input CSV file, it is in this format like date, month, year. So that format, my input CSV file format, I'm defining here like date, month, year. So if I define like this, now the values are reading correctly. Okay, so this is the scenario we'll use date format. So next, how to read CSV file with mixed date format. So suppose here we have all in single format like date, month, year, date, month, year. If you see the entire column, it following same thing like date, month, year like that. But in this case, so mixed date format and infer schema equal to true. So here I am defining CSV file path and option header as true. And what my first option is option infer schema equal to true. So what is my CSV file? Mixed date format. So this is the file we're going to read here. So if I see here, I have one date column that is joining underscore date. If you see first, this is one format like year, month, date, and in between we have colon. And at the same time here, it is a date, month, year. So this is a different pattern. This is a different pattern, and this is a different pattern. See, delimiters are changing, and this also different pattern. And here, year, month, date is there with this as a delimiter. But if you see here, year, month, date, backslash as the delimiter. So all the values has a different formats. So that particular column is not following one particular standard format. So here what I'm doing, info schema as true. So even though if you have values as mixed formats, so those cases what it will do, Spark, see it here it detecting correctly integer, and here it detecting correctly string. But here instead of date type, it detecting as string. Why? Because so here we don't have any single format. That means we don't have any standard format. So we have all mixed formats. So it detecting as string type. Okay. So next, mixed date format with explicit schema. So earlier we used info schema as true. So here I'm using um, explicit schema. So first I'm defining the schema. So ID as integer type, name as string type, joining date as date type. And that schema I'm passing here. So now if I try to read this CSV file, see here, since I defined explicit schema and I am not defined any additional option here, and we have multiple patterns. So what will happen, since this is date type, right? And if you see the input in this file, so whichever follows a default format, so that is year, month, date. So with this delimiter. Okay, so only this particular value, it will read correctly. And whatever we have remaining all custom formats. So these are all custom formats. So all these custom formats, it reading as null value. Okay, so next, so here I give an explanation like date format, year, month, date. So is used during data ingestion, like reading CSV or JSON files to tell Spark how to interpret or write date strings. So key usage scenarios reading data. So when using spark.read, what will happen? This option specifies the format of the date strings in your source file. So Spark can correctly convert them into date type column. So while writing data, that means while using df.write, it ensures the resulting file stores dates in that specific string format. Okay, so next, that means while reading or writing the CSV file, if you mention this option, so it makes sure that it stores all the date values in this specific format. So here thing is mixed date format, like earlier. Earlier what we did, mixed date format and explicit scheme. So for that, what we got, only default format we got value, remaining all we got null value. So here what I'm doing, additionally, I'm adding date format. So one, I defined explicit schema that I passed here, and additionally, I passed option date format. So year, month, date, but still we'll get same result. Why? Because here we can pass any one particular format, not all the format. So since it is, since I mentioned default format, so I will get only this particular value. So without defining, previous case what we did, we had not defined this one, but still we got default value as here. So here what I will try to do here is, I will take any maximum patterns it is repeating. Suppose if I take this pattern, date, month, year. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So in this file, out of 10, so 5 records, since it is following this pattern. So what I will do, I will try to change this pattern in next cell, so that what will happen, out of 10, 5 records will get value, remaining 5 will get numbers. So in previous cell, uh, I added to print the schema. Okay, so uh, here what I'm doing, I'm trying to change this format to which format. So whatever we have, majority, like date, so date, month, year, but here month, date, year. Oh, okay. So we have different. So one place we have date, month, year. Other place we have month, date, year. So what I'll do, I'll try to give this format like month, date, year. So first one is month, next one is date, next one is year. So now we'll see how many records it will read as per this format. See here we have only these two values, we have this format. So we have, I thought of this also, but this what it has a different format. Like first we are getting month, date, year. So month, date, year, and month, year. No, this is one, date, month, year. This is date, month, year. So 1, 2, 3, date, month, year, and date, month, year. So we supposed to give 1, 2, 3, 4. So actually we're supposed to get 4 values, but we are getting only 2. Okay, I given month, date, year, month, date, year. So suppose I'll change this one. Like first I'll give date, then I'll give month. Now we'll get different values. Different values means matching pattern value. See here, now I'm getting 4 values. So these 4 values, it is following this pattern, date, month, year. Okay, so like this, it is useful, this date format. So next, if you have wrong date format, then what will happen? So we already saw that if you have wrong date format, then we are getting null values. So mainly here. So wherever we are having other than this format, we are getting null values. So using wrong format, Spark fails silently and converts it to null. So same, I'm taking previous example like defining explicit schema, and I'm reading the CSV file by using default option like first one is header as true, and additionally I'm passing date format as default format, and this explicit schema I'm passing here, and this is the CSV file path, and this is correct format. File name is correct format. So here See here, since I defined all date types here, so here we are getting date types, and why it giving nulls here is, even though I passed option date format as year, month, date, and if you see this input CSV file, that is correct format. So whatever we have inside is all custom format. So we don't have any default format here. So that is the reason we are getting all nulls here. So next, what is the correct way to do is, since this format and this format is not matching, right? Next, what I'm doing, I'm passing the correct format. So code everything same. So only difference is this one. This format I'm changing to date, month, year. And if you see here, so date, month, year. See here, all are date, month, year. So all are we have date, month, year format. So if I try to read this one now, we'll get correct values with the date data type. So if I read this one, see here, so all are reading as date data type. See here, date data type, and we are getting correct values. That means it is correctly converting. Why? Because whatever we passed date pattern here and same pattern, it is there in CSV file. That means all these values, all the values, it has same this pattern. So next is, so as of now, we covered about date format. So next we'll see about how to use timestamp format. So here I have one CSV file which has timestamp values. So that is timestamp underscore format. If I open this file, so my first column is date. This also custom format like date, month, year. Sorry, this is a timestamp. So this is date, and I have this one, hour, minute. And if you see next, this is a date, hour, minute. And here also date, hour, minute. So total I have 3 timestamp columns. So these timestamp columns, first what I'm doing, I'm trying with, I'm reading the file with info schema as true. So this is info schema as true. So since I'm using info schema as true, so all the timestamp columns here we are getting as it is. So and data types are string type. Okay, so even though I used info schema as true, so this integer column it correctly detecting, but all the timestamp columns, the values are coming as it is, but it reading as string type. So why it is reading like this? Why it is not directly coming timestamp values is, so we have custom format. See here, date, month, year. So that is the reason it reading as all string data types. So next what I'm doing, so instead of info schema, here I'm passing timestamp format. So this timestamp format. So here I'm explicitly telling the Spark. So my CSV file has in this format. So date, month, year, and hour, minute. If you see here, date, month, year, hour, minute. So I have only this much, this pattern I have. So since I mentioned the pattern here, timestamp format, but still it reading as same values with string data types. So earlier, Since we mentioned info schema as true, at least this one it directed as integer type. But after only adding timestamp format, so it reading all the columns as string type. So now what is the solution is passing the explicit schema first. As we discussed earlier, so whenever you use date format, so it won't automatically detect the data types. So what we need to do additionally, either we need to pass info schema as true or timestamp format, explicit schema we need to pass. So one is timestamp format and explicit schema. And earlier case, I passed only timestamp format. So now I passed both explicit schema and timestamp format. Now my data will read correctly. If you see here, earlier it is reading as it is. Our CSV file has same string format, it is reading as it is. But after providing one is explicit schema, in explicit schema what I did, event ID I mentioned as integer type and remaining three columns I mentioned as timestamp type. So, and on top of that, I given my CSV file has in this particular format. So now what it happening, see here, it properly converting to timestamp type and same thing you can see here, timestamp data type. And if you see the values, so our CSV file has like this, date, month, year, hour, minute. So that one, it properly converting to default timestamp format. So what is the default timestamp format? First is date. Date will be in default date format. So that is year, month, date. So 2023, 6/15. See here, 2023, 6/15. And if you come to timestamp, 10:30, hour, minute. So after date, we'll get T. After that, 10:30. So this is hour, this minute. And since we don't have second, we'll get 0. And milliseconds is 0 and time zone is 0. And at the same time, if you see here, so 15/6, 2023, 10:30. Okay, so this also it will convert into proper timestamp format. So next, reading CSV with custom date format. So that means we already saw some custom formats. So here I'm trying to show few more custom formats. So here DOB, the column DOB uh, is in the format like this. So earlier we have different formats like backslash, colon, those types we have. So here we have this one, semicolon we have. So in this format, I have my CSV and submit time. And submit time, this is the column name. It is in the format, this one. Okay, so this is in this particular timestamp format. So that is year, month, date, and hour, minute, second. So we can instruct Spark to parse these values correctly using this option. One is dot date format and dot option timestamp format. So here what I'm doing, this is common, header equal to true. So here what I'm doing, apart from date format and timestamp format, here I'm using info schema as true and info schema as true. So we can follow either two methods, either info schema true or explicit schema. So, but here I'm passing info schema as true. And additionally, I'm passing these two formats. So one is date format So in this date format, I'm passing the pattern is like this. So year, month, date, and timestamp format is like this. So year, month, date, and hour, minute, second. And my path is this one, student date. So my file name is student date. If I open this one, CSV file, if you see here, the DOB column, DOB is in this format. See here, this date is in this format. So year, colon, 0101. So month, year. So same format I'm mentioning here. So year, colon, month, colon, month. So here I'm defining explicitly like my CSV file has in this format. And at the same time, timestamp format, if you see my timestamp column, so that is submit time. So here, year, month, date, then hour, minute, second. Okay, so this format I have. So same format I will mention here. So year, month, date, hour, minute, second. So now if I try to run this one, since I used infer schema true, so it will detect correctly. See here, DOP as detecting as date type, see here date type, and we are getting default dates. So even though we have in our input, even though we have this delimiter, but we are getting default date format with this. And at the same time, if you see timestamp values, so first is the date, year, month, date, and in between T, hour, minute, second, millisecond, time job. But what we have input pattern is like this, year, month, date, and we have space, then hour, minute, second. So this kind of format, if you convert to timestamp, this is the standard ISO timestamp format. That is, that first will be date, date will be year, month, date, T, and we'll be having time. So hour, minute, second, millisecond, and time job. Plus, after plus whatever we have, that is time job. Okay, so like this it will convert. Next, reading CSV with the different custom formats. Suppose my DOB uses this format. So earlier we have different format, DOB, it is in this format. Now my input CSV file as in this format. Suppose this is DOB, my column name is DOB, and my date format is this one. And the submit time. So this is the column name and it uses this timestamp format. Okay, so what is the timestamp format? See here like this. So earlier what we have, this is common, and here instead of backslash, what we have is this one. Okay, so what is the file now? So code everything same. So only changing the format as per this one, this format, and for timestamp format, yeah, I'm defining this one. And if you see CSV file student date 2, so that is this one. So you see here this date. Date is like this, and the timestamp is like this. So whatever we have format here, it is up to here only. So up to here. So whatever format we have, so the same format we are defining here. Okay, so now this also same like date format infer schema true and timestamp format. So if you see this one, what is our input file format like this? Date, month, year with this backslash. So after converting, how we are getting default format. So that is year, month, date. At the same time, here also timestamp format, we have year with backslashes and space we have hour, minute, second. And how we are getting is a default format, that is year, month, date, T, and hour, minute, second, millisecond, plus time zone. And you can see the data types. DOB is date and submit time is timestamp. Okay, so like this, you can read CSV files, which has either default or custom formats of date columns or timestamp columns using these two functions, date format and timestamp form. So that's all about this video. If you really like this video, please like and subscribe. Thank you.